In 2025, 30% of all outbound messages are synthetically generated. Welcome to this video. My name is Jesse. I make videos about sales and marketing and go-to-market and social media. My goal is to actually share actionable ideas, share the things I've learned and things I'm about to learn. So think of me as your peer and not a know-it-all guru. So let's dive in. Gartner stated that in 2025, 30% of all outbound messages are generated synthetically. But they said that in 2022. It's now 2025, and I think if you're a manager or director and up, and you currently look at your LinkedIn inbox or your email inbox, you'll probably see that even Gartner might have underestimated that. Maybe these days you have 50% of synthetically generated outbound messages. There's actually two responses you can have from this finding and to these messages. You can either say, I don't believe in it, I'm going to stay far away from it, and I'm going to stay authentic. You can do that. Or you can say, if I invest the time in it right now, I can stay ahead, and I can stay ahead of the curve of AI-generated messages. Still be authentic compared to the mass that is currently generating AI. So if you want to be authentic with using AI in sales, how can you best do that? I always like to go back to the basic of how to learn more about the person you're reaching out to on LinkedIn or outside of LinkedIn. If we go back to the basics, there are 3 locations you can look for more information about the person you're reaching out to. And that is the Google search bar, the LinkedIn search bar, or the Sales Navigator home feed. So let's start off with Google. With Google, you can of course find stuff about you or the person you're reaching out to. So if you're reaching out to James and you're typing into the Google search bar James or James Doe, for example, or James Doe and a certain company, James Doe and Coca-Cola, you'll find results about James Doe and Coca-Cola. But if you extend that search with a certain formula, that's called Boolean search, you can even find more specific information. You can do, for example, James Doe and Coca-Cola and marketing, or James Doe and Coca-Cola or Heineken. This way, you'll be able to navigate your search within Google without any other tool you need to just search more specifically in Google. That same Boolean search formula idea works for LinkedIn, but there you can even work more with, for example, job titles. Or then you can also look for posts on LinkedIn. So for example, I can look for SaaS software and I want to know if James had posted something about SaaS or posted something about Gen AI. I start looking for James and Gen AI. If I'm just looking for Gen AI, I'm just getting Gen AI results, Gen AI posts. But if I'm looking for just for James, I'm getting everyone that's called James. But when I'm looking for James and Gen AI, or if I want to know if they started talking about Gen AI or machine learning. So I can do James and Gen AI or machine learning. So this way, instead of like using the filters all the time to learn more information about your customer, you can actually do this in one search, and even better, you can bookmark it. So you can go back to that search all the time again. For the people who are using Sales Navigator and who pay for a license, they can of course navigate the updates from their customers or their prospects in the Sales Navigator home feed. It's an old classic, but it still works very, very well if you're in sales. So let's say you have used Google and LinkedIn and Sales Navigator, but you actually do want to use AI. You do want to jump on the AI train and you do want to stay ahead. Here's a very basic flow you can use to actually use AI in this search of more information about your prospects. So it basically exists out of 4 steps. You use customers, interviews and podcasts to learn more about your customer profile or ideal customer profile, ICP in short. You use, with that information, you use that in your Sales Navigator search. So in your first step, you use ChatGPT, for example, or Cloud or another large language model to distill information from customer interviews or podcasts. Then that information you feed into Sales Navigator to find a certain profile of people. And then you extract that data from LinkedIn with an export tool, for example. You can use, for example, a Phantom Buster is a very famous one, but there's also a lot of other ones. What you can do as a last step is with that information, you can upload it into Clay. And Clay is a tool where you can do research or you can enrich personal information at scale. So you're not just looking for James anymore and information, but you're looking for James, Sophie, Anna, and maybe 100 other names at the same time. So I'm asking, what does Name has to do with Coca-Cola and Gen AI, for example. And it won't just do research for James, as we did in the first time manually, but with a tool like Clay, you will do research for 100 people at the same time. That is going to save you a lot of time, but also it enables you to cherry pick way better, to actually pick the results without losing a lot of time. So this is my very brief explanation about how you can do personalization with AI, and also stay ahead and maybe be better than the 30% synthesized outreach messages that Gartner predicted in 2022. If you have questions about personalization, AI, and sales, and there's something I didn't discuss yet, leave it in the comments and I will get back to you there, or I will use it as an inspiration for my next video. And if you like me to discuss other topics related to sales and personalization and maybe even AI, let me know as well, and I will use that for my next video. Thank you for watching and see you next time.